Hey, podcasties. On this episode, you'll get to hear from a guest of mine who does not work in the automotive space, but he works in the real estate world and in many facets of the real estate world. Hopefully, you'll be able to take away his journey to success, his hero's journey, and implement it into your line of work and responsibility. So, here it is what it is, and this is the Wisco Weekly podcast. Chicka brown cow. Hey, listeners. What is up? This is the Wisco Weekly podcast. I am your host, Dennis Wisco, and alongside my co-host, Kelly Cruz. Kelly, what is going on?
Hey there, listeners.
Hey there, listeners. Do you want to wait for responses? Why don't you ask them something else now? You always say, hey there. Why don't you ask them something else?
I usually ask, how are they doing?
I know. Do you want to ask them something else now? Maybe how their day is, what the weather is like, and maybe you'll get another response from them?
I'm afraid what the answer might be.
Yeah, okay. Anyhow, this is going to be a really good episode. I'm extremely curious about how this is going to go because one of the things that I do believe in any kind of industry is that you have to learn from other industries. So we have a guest here today that I'll introduce to you in just a little bit, who's going to inform us about his previous experience, his philosophies, everything. We'll see how this goes, but I'm excited to have all of you guys listen into this episode. So let's get into the introduction of our guest. Okay, hold on. Let's try it again here. Hold on. Here we go. Does everyone know what time it is? Tool time. If you know that line, then my next guest is the modern day reincarnation of Tim the Toolman Taylor from the hit show Home Improvement. What's more, this real life individual operates his business and personal life with a sense of gratitude and philanthropy. But it's not like this builder nailed it from the start. He's been a project in the making for the last 30 plus years. From working with his dad at a young age to working with his own hands for his friends and families for their home improvement projects, to hoarding tools, to learning building codes. He has dedicated his life to literally knowing the inside and outside of a house. And he's taken that knowledge and experience to TV and the luxury real estate market. They say the trifecta for any Hollywood celebrity is acting, singing, and dancing. In the world of real estate, the trifecta is building, contracting, and being an agent. And my guest today has it all. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a tool time welcome to Mr. Matthew Blashaw.
Did you write that?
I did write that.
Man, that's like one of the best introductions ever.
You better live up to it now.
Well, I'm just going to steal that.
Yeah.
Like, that's mine.
I have to admit, I had no part in it, although I believe in all of it.
Yeah. Do all the guests get the same introduction? Like,
No,
out?
just you.
Okay, good.
Don't listen to any other podcast.
Yeah. I now know.
I'm a salesman, too.
I'm just another guest.
With your own story.
Yep, you just meat grind these guys through, Thank you very much. That was amazing.
Well, Matt, I'm happy to have you on here. I've been wanting to invite a real estate agent onto the podcast, and certainly to do this, I wanted the best. And I came across. Well, it's actually interesting. Matt and I probably have a long history, although of different routes. I mean, we actually went to the same high school. Go Friars, Servite High School.
I didn't beat up on you, did I?
God, I hope not. Actually, I was known to actually wander into Senior Square, but I mean, when I was a freshman, you were a senior, so yeah you could have definitely hazed me. But I was quick though. I mean, I don't know if you were able to catch. Did you played football?
Yeah, I was huge.
Yeah.
I was 240 pounds. I was massive, and I didn't care about hazing. I just wasn't that kid.
Yeah.
So if I probably I saw you. Plus, you were good with my brother,
yes,
wui was a freshman at the time. So I think we were cool.
Yeah,
we probably got a pass just for that.
Cool. All right, cool. So yeah, I'm gonna love the fact of what we're gonna get into in this conversation about your background and experience in real estate. And essentially, the way that I look at it is, Kelly and I will never become a luxury real estate agent, right? And furthermore, we'll never get to the point where we've had these kinds of successes and experiences that you have. And so in my eyes right now, it seems as if that the way, how far you've come, I'm sure you're going to have a lot of interesting things that you can share our listeners, and specifically those that are involved in sales. So let me kind of start. I don't like to kind of give softball questions here. So let's start with one question here to kind of tee this off.
Oh, yeah. Let's get right into it.
So I'm curious here of, you're a seasoned professional in a lot of facets, and we'll break that down a little bit. Tell me, though, what is one of the more meaningful sales you've ever had?
Oh, man, you're going to make me cry.
We're going straight there.
Gosh, it's one of the, being in luxury, I love luxury real estate. So coastal luxury real estate, it's fantastic. I've worked my way up. I started in 2007. Perfect time to get into real estate, by the way, right before the crash. But it really taught me how to prospect, and it taught me how to survive, because we all had to survive. There was about 2 million realtors in California, and I think it went down to about 800,000.
In just California?
In just California. So, I mean, it was, as soon as it came, we had foreclosures, short sales. I was running into banks to try to get short sales done, because short sales, when the market crashed, the banks didn't know what to do with short sales. So there was no system set up. Now there's a system set up where if a short sale comes in, it has to go through these channels. They didn't know. So these files would sit on the desk, and we would have to make sure if it didn't go through, it'd get foreclosed on. So I would have to run. I went past security guards. I almost got arrested one time at U.S. Bank down in Irvine, just to run up, and I can hand the lady my file. She goes, "Oh my gosh, I never would have gotten it." So, I mean, I was, not only were you having to prospect for sales, you were having to actually get that sale done. And then to top it all off, they were cutting our commission by half.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me interrupt real quick, because, you're obviously, this is a very tumultuous time period you're talking about here. What in the hell were you thinking then going into real estate?
It was so quick background, and then I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
All right. So the quick background. So I started, I went to Chapman University. I was a film and television major. And there was a film and television major because I ended up getting into film and television because I was a pre-med major for my first 2 years. Have you ever taken organic chemistry?
No, don't blame.
I won't take away from your story, but I sat in the class for maybe 2 days and I got out.
Yeah.
That
is it. I mean, I might as well have been reading, Chinese, Hebrew. I had no idea what was going on. So I tried, and I am attention deficit, so numbers and all that were really hard for me. And I tried, and then I went to as many classes as I possibly could, tutors, you name it, and I got a C-. And I had to take it again. And then I went, which is the worst, because it's like going right back into the guillotine, right? Yeah. And then I went and I got a C+. And I said, I can't get into professional school with this, and I'm not going to take it again. So, let's just go with the next, obvious choice, and that's to go into film and television. Because I was already with Chapman University. I had to graduate, and I was paying for my own college tuition. I didn't have parents that were giving me any college tuition. So it lit a fire under me. I was already doing film and television in front of the screen. I was acting because I really liked it and I enjoyed being in front of the camera while I was getting my pre-med major.
Wait, when you were acting, was this like a thespian kind of work, or was this Hollywood kind of work?
Chapman University is one of the best film programs in America.
Okay.
But they need actors for their student films. And I did at Servite High School. I don't know if you remember the play Into the Woods.
I remember the play.
Yeah, you remember the Prince?
I don't remember the Prince.
High in the tower, like yours was but higher. You don't remember that?
No.
Beauty asleep doop. That was me. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I can't believe they still let me on stage and sing.
No,
I mean, it was
that
terrible.
No, that was great.
It was pretty good.
I actually did well, and I didn't know. I went to it was an all boys Catholic school. So when you go to an all boys Catholic school, you get made fun of if you're in the theater program.
Yes,
well,
No wonder he didn't make fun of you, Dennis.
exactly. I was like, you just stay off of me, right? I'm wearing makeup now.
I know. It's like you were fearful of actually the freshman me, all of a sudden knowing the fact that you were a thespian.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But here's the great part of it is that as soon as, because football was over, and I said, hey, why not? Let me just audition. So I went and auditioned. I showed up. There was only 6 guys, and now Connolly and Rosary are the 2 schools, so they double casted all the women. It was 40 women and 6 guys, and I went, this is the Mecca. This is the end of the rainbow. I have found it. But I found a passion and a love for being, I guess, in theater. And my mom kind of shared that too. She went to USC, and she was in the theater program. So I guess that's where I got it from. So it was just it was very visual. It's a very visual medium is film and television. So I went into film and television. I studied as hard as I possibly could. I was taking 24 units a semester, which is nuts.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I drank so much Mountain Dew, it was ridiculous just to try to get through. I ended up graduating. I got Filmmaker of the Year. And I met my ex-wife there, and we just ended up going to Hollywood and trying to make it. And I was in front of the camera, and I was behind the camera, gaffing, gripping, Hollywood features, you name it. So I was also doing carpentry. And then I got a stint at Disneyland, and I was doing scenic tech. So the guys that you don't know behind the camera or behind the stage with black, uniforms on, pressing the button. I actually did Tinkerbell that goes from the Matterhorn over to the castle.
I know it.
You know that?
I'm a huge Disneyland fan, so you say the word, and I'm all over it.
Don't work there then.
Okay. I
don't.
have dreams about being in the Mickey's Magical Map Show, but
Really?
that's not going to happen.
That's a whole nother show.
What?
That's a whole nother show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
You could be a great princess. You'd be an awesome princess. Like an Ariel or something.
Oh, hey, don't look.
It's my husband's favorite princess, so you
I
nailed
think.
it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Look
You'd
at
be
this
good-
stuff. Isn't it neat? Yeah, see, now you're bringing the thespian out of me now.
We could go on the road. But so I was actually running that effect where Tinkerbell, goes from the Matterhorn over to the castle. I ran Aladdin, the show Aladdin. So I was doing, it was called automation. I was an automation specialist, which kind of got my carpentry going. And then for 3 years, I spent at Disney. And then eventually, I got my own contract. I got my contracting license. I didn't want to be working for Disneyland anymore. I said I want to go on my own. I started my own business. So I've been in my in my own business since 27 years old. And then I was building spec homes out in San Bernardino. I started doing kitchens, bathrooms, and then I was building spec homes. So I was using investor money to acquire the land, and then I was using either investor money or I was getting a loan to get the construction on that. And
where did these investors come from? Were you soliciting the investors? Did they what's that?
You'd have to go out and hit the streets.
Okay. All right. So you were already hitting the streets at that age with your own business to do this to build these spec homes and hitting up investors. Okay. All right.
I was married. I had to put money on the food on the table, and that's a really good motivator for someone. That you don't have anything and you need to make it happen for yourself. That's a huge motivator. And for me, I said, well, either I'm going to start talking to people or not. And I had one guy that I worked with that he was a loan originator that had a connection. And from there, I built another connection. And then I found, I would be very direct with people and say, hey, do you know anybody that wants to get into some investments? Here are my terms. Here are my points. This is the return. This is how fast I can get it back to you. Yeah, I know a guy. And so, I started to get all this money together as much as I possibly could. So I was working 3 projects at a time. And before the last nail was in that house, I was selling them. I mean, it was like 2006, even in 2007, it was crazy. And I was building a product because I was building the house, I was building it for two families because it was mostly, Mexican families out there with two families. They couldn't afford one home themselves. So I made a 2,000 square foot home with two master suites so that they wouldn't have to share, and then an extra bedroom. It was perfect.
Did you have full autonomy in terms of the design then too? Oh, wow. Okay.
But once I did one, I mean, it was just a blueprint, and I would just do that same thing, work with the elevation a little bit because it was working until 2007, 2008. And my construction loan, I don't know if you remember the bank IndyMac. Yeah, IndyMac was the one I went to go pull on one of my construction loans for to do some of the flat work. Nothing, and they shut their doors. And I was sitting on a half-built home and two other pieces of land, and I couldn't do anything with it. I couldn't get a construction loan. No one's doing construction loans anymore. And I saw which I bought the land at a good price at $80,000. That was a great price. Usually it's like $100,000.
Yep.
And I saw it plummet with almost in a year to $20,000. And I went, there's nothing you can possibly do. So from there, thank goodness TV came knocking, because I was trying to work with the foreclosures and the short sales. TV came knocking. I auditioned for a show called DIY, or a DIY Network. Yep. It was a show called, it was actually Stud Finder competition is how I got onto it.
That's pretty funny.
If we want to go into it. It was a Stud Finder competition that my ex-wife saw on Craigslist. And, 12 years ago, home improvement television, no one knew what that is. They're like, what is home improvement television? And I didn't really care. I said, I just want to, I need to figure out a way to support my family now. So I went, and this is one of the biggest, pieces of advice I give kids. When you really want something, just don't care about it.
Totally.
And you'll get it. I mean, within reason, but I didn't really care or want it, so I didn't really have that desperation. So the producers called me and said, "Hey, we liked your video. Would you want to do a little interview?" "Yeah, sure, whatever." So I was on the phone with them, talking, "Hey, yeah," and, maybe cursing a little bit. I just didn't really care. And then I hung up the phone, and they called me back 2 days later and said, "Hey, you're one of the finalists. Do you want to go to Minneapolis and shoot the show?" "Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that sounds cool." So I went. It was a DIY special with Amy Matthews. If people remember DIY Network, she was one of the original hosts, and two other people. And I went, and my ex-wife was there. I thought I did amazing. Okay. I had on-screen, experience. I had contracting experience. I was like, "Oh, this is in the bag. No problem." So I went home, and I was just waiting for the call. I'm like, yeah, come on, get that call. I know the producers are going to call me.
Now you want it.
Yeah, now I want it. Because you're like, this is going to be sweet. I can't wait. Nothing. And then another week went by. Nothing. And I went, what? So I called the producer. I felt like a dumped girlfriend, like where you call.
Please take me back.
I just want closure. And so I called and I said, did you guys pick a winner? "Oh yeah, we picked I forget his name. Anyway, but he was a school teacher in Denver, so the whole story was better that he won. I'm a contractor, realtor.
Right, it's too easy.
Yeah, like what are they going to do?
But let's go back to this competition. Stud Finder, literally like knocking on walls who can find studs? Am I being too literal?
Stud Finder.
Oh, no.
All right, hold on. So,
Yeah.
so while everyone's listening to the podcast, you don't get the video portion of this. Matt basically just went to the gun show on that Stud Finder reference. Okay.
How else would I explain it, right? Which obviously I didn't win, so I was not the stud. Yeah, I did not do well on that, and it was crazy for me. And it was a real, not a humbling experience, but I went, gosh, I thought I did so well. I don't understand how this could possibly not work. But I ended up getting a relationship with the production company. And this is kind of another, kind of thought is that, sometimes we really drill and think this is what our life is going to look like. This is what a deal is going to look like. This is how I prospect, or this is how I communicate with my customers. But that's not necessarily the way it's going to happen.
Right.
You know, and if we tunnel vision that so much, we're going to lose that other opportunity that's around us. So for me, the production company said, hey, man, we really like you. Would you want to go do this show for Carter Osterhaus? I don't know if you remember him for HGTV. He was a very popular host. Oh. And do you want to go be the behind-the-scenes contractor in San Diego? I went and did that. They kind of liked me. And then they said, hey, we have this show called Deconstruction. Would you want to go audition for it in Denver? I went, okay, but we're not going to fly you out. And if you get the show, you have to live there, and we're not going to pay your apartment or anything, any living spaces. So you have to be a local hire.
And this is still by HGTV?
DIY.
Or DIY?
Yeah, which is Scripps. So HGTV, DIY, Travel Channel, Food Network, they're all under the same umbrella. So I went to my ex-wife and I went, should we do this? I mean, should I? But again, things weren't happening in real estate. Things weren't happening in construction. And I went, well, I guess I should just go try. But I really didn't want it. When you really don't want something, right, you end up doing great. So I got on the plane. I went there. I was high-fiving producers. I'm like, yeah, man, this is awesome. What's up? And I had this great audition, and I got off the plane. They said, you got it. I went, oh, gosh. We're going to have to move to Denver. So we packed up. This is a funny story. We had a Scion, you know, the Toyota Scion.
Which Scion? Which model?
The XA, the hatchback.
Yeah. Small, yeah.
Okay, now I was car guy.
Well, I was thinking, okay, maybe it's the XB because yes, it's a bigger version. You can pack some stuff. That's XA, yeah, that's a small one.
XA, yeah, okay, a four-banger. Yeah, going up to 80,
okay,
in Denver.
Yeah.
So we use those suction bags. You remember the suction bags
like
for your clothes?
Take all the air out of them to make them really little.
Right. So we did that thinking that, that's going to be amazing. We just pack our car until you get to altitude. And in altitude, they all start to expand. It was like like the jar of peanuts with the snakes in it. And it just completely creeped. We just rolled into Denver with everything. We got out of the car. It was like a clown car. Everything just spilled out. But anyway, long story short is that I got the show. I did a season of it, went back home trying to get the ratings. They said, we're going to make you a network host. So I've been with them for, 10 years. I'm over 480 episodes of television with, I've done 7 shows. So it was amazing, an incredible experience. And, getting into real estate, I didn't necessarily, it took me a long time to kind of figure out, what has meaning for me. And so I really got back into it really about 3 years ago. And started working hard, and I worked my way up to luxury. And this is getting to your question. I'm going to get all the way back to your question.
Well, yeah, but I like this journey you've been on because, it's a cliffhanger. Hopefully you're not going to all of a sudden share that you sold a trailer home, but...
It was my first sale.
It's your first sale.
Yeah. I sold with all the wheels and all the trimmings.
Well, Bobby Joe, Larry Sue, I'm sure was a very happy.
Master bedrooms on that one.
Yeah. Double wide. And this is, I got to share this with my now wife, and I took a listing for a friend out in Chino, and the house we were on the market for $625, and I think we finally got an offer at $620.
What year was this?
This was maybe a little less than a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, a little over a year ago. So pretty recent. And I wouldn't necessarily go out all the way to Chino. I'd refer it out, but it was kind of a friend of mine, and for me, I want to make sure I take care of my friends. So I went out and I worked with this family, and it was time to give them the keys. And this was their first house, and they'd been living in apartments. And the kids came through the house, and my wife was there too, and they lit up, and they started. The wife was crying, the kids were running all around the living room, doing somersaults and running through the backyard, and I shook the guy's hand. I shook the husband's hand. I said, "Congratulations, man!" He just like looked at me. He had tears in his eyes. Like, "Thank you so much." I went, "This is your first house, isn't it?" He goes, "Yeah, this is the first house." They were 31 years old. This is the dream.
Yeah.
And I went, "You don't get this very much in the luxury market.
Right.
You just don't." And it's not because they don't care. It's just because this is probably their 6th, 7th, 8th home. Yeah. And I saw that, and I turned to Lindsay, my wife, and she was just bawling too. And I went, "Isn't this cool? Isn't this cool? This is why you do it." And that's why I continue, because I love home. I love the homestead. It's my favorite thing in the world. So to be able to hand that to someone and actually see how it returns and just how it filled their heart with so much joy, this is what keeps me going. So that was my favorite sale.
Well, and that is certainly meaningful, and I can appreciate how, for just as much as you had this journey to sell that house, they had their own journey to get to that point in which it was meaningful for the both of you, and maybe that's the other part of the equation, is that because it was meaningful to them. Because as you said, when you sell these luxury real estate homes, it's not as meaningful. Why? Because it's probably the third, fourth, fifth home. But on that end, though, I mean, tell us about the buyers, the demographics, the psychographs of the luxury buyer. Then, because certainly, if on one hand you have this meaningful exchange with that family, what is it like then with the clients that are looking to get that $5 million house, that $10 million house?
They're very detailed. They're very detailed in what they want. I mean, they've been through the home process over and over. They know exactly to the T what they're looking for in the home, what kind of kitchen layout they want, what kind of bathroom finishes, what kind of style, where they want to be in relationship to the ocean. I mean, they know exactly what they want. So you have to be able to cater to that. And especially coming as a buyer's agent, you have to know your stuff. You just can't go show them anything in their price range. They're not going to want that. They're going to want you to work for your commission. You're making a good amount of money. You're making at least 2.5%. Right, on a $5-10 million home, even a $20 million home. You got to make sure that you are you're walking through the listings beforehand, which a lot of agents don't do. They show up and they go, "Oh yeah, let's just go through the house together." No, they want you to show up beforehand. They want you to pre-walk the listing. They want you to take pictures. They want you to write down. They want you to know exactly what they want. So it's not necessarily that they don't care about it, but they're very discerning on what they want.
So again, this would be very similar to the luxury car business. Those people buying Audis, Maseratis, Porsches. Again, the description you're giving of how detail oriented and discerning, they want specific things, and a lot of times why? Because they have the money to do so. Though, how does it doesn't always work out to be that way, right? I mean, of course, if there's a house that's on the beach that is already 50 yards away and they're looking for something that's 10 yards away, you can't change that. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal, I guess, essentially with the high maintenance client? How do you deal with it?
I just walk away.
No, I don't want that commission.
Yeah, that's not worth it. No. Have you ever seen those shows, on HGTV, House Hunters? Where you I did a show called Vacation House for Free, which was, it's very similar. And what we do is that we walk through the house, and there's always pros and cons. You're not going to get everything. You might not get everything on your list. But what I tell buyers is I say, well, you're going to get the most important things on your list, okay? Because, you can change your surroundings. You can't necessarily change where the house is, but you can change your surroundings in terms of the house, what it looks like and
the paint, the carpet, the things that...
finishes.
Which I imagine on your end, too. This is where it helps to have that background in building and contracting, because... I mean, does it also happen then that eventually you sell a house that they eventually hire then you to, restore the bathroom or relocate the bathroom somewhere kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm doing 2 of them right now. Yeah, two houses.
Beautiful thing.
And that's coming as a realtor. That's been my one kind of, one asset that puts me above other realtors is that I'm a licensed contractor. I know everything about the house. I can show you the potential. I can also tell you cost. And I can also kind of say, this is what the house could look like. and this is why we should offer this. You know, I'm known for getting $40,000-$50,000 off of houses sometimes, even with multiple offers, just because I know the exact what the shape is. I know what kind of reports to put in.
We'd call you a shrewd negotiator.
Yes, is that what it is? Yeah, I'm a shrewd negotiator. I gotta put that on the resume. But I love it because I can share with them things that other realtors won't. You know, realtors will just go, oh, this is what it is, and you know, I don't know, maybe we can get a contractor in there. But for me, I take passion. I put passion behind that.
And you can give them a vision.
Yeah, give them a vision. Get them excited about the house too, because you know, even though they don't see it, when I was a contractor, people don't necessarily see it, but I would have to. When I was a contractor, I'm not kidding. I would tell people, I'm just going to do this. Because they would look at a piece of paper and say, oh, I don't know if this is going to look good. And in my mind, I know visually it's going to look amazing. It's going to be exactly what you want. And I would say, if you don't like it, I will tear it out. Thank goodness I've never had to tear one out.
Well, but actually, it's, you know, to appeal to the luxury market, to essentially entice them to something that they don't have yet. I mean, doesn't that speak exactly to their personality? It's like, you know, you're dangling this diamond carrot in front of them that it's like, okay, so you're going to convert this bathroom and double the size and put in this, you know, marble imported from Italy, and you're talking about it and it's not there. And, you know, all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I want that. I want that.
Oh, yeah. You show your passion and your excitement, then they're going to get excited about it. You know, and you know, I have a hard time. I don't sell the home and do the contracting on the home. I don't. I have a team that works with me, and I have some contractors that I work with that I give them the vision. It's just it blurs the line a little bit too much. Mm-hmm. But I think overall in the luxury market with people in the, you know, the 2 million, 5 million plus homes, they just want to see that they're getting the value out of you. They want to see, especially on the selling side. I have a $30 million listing on the Strand. I mean, it's one of the biggest listings in Orange County.
I'm
it's
interested.
Amazing. Let me see some financials, and then we'll kind of bring you through. You know what I mean? A little private showing.
What's I have?
Can you do a 99-1 loan?
Mm-hmm. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No big deal.
I need like 136.
Yeah. What's the down on that?
Yeah.
But you know, I love those sellers to death. But I have worked harder than I've ever worked on anything in my life, because they want to make sure that they are getting the value out of you. So that means knowing where to put ads. That means knowing who to talk to. That means how to follow up. I mean, we've done everything that you can possibly imagine marketing-wise. We shoot little films that aren't necessarily films about the home, but like films about people walking through the home. We just did this great film that was the concept was getting these two people that work out, like these real fitness-oriented, because it has a great gym downstairs. And what's cool is that Mark Wahlberg came through twice to that in the home. I could say that because I didn't sign an NDA, but Mark Wahlberg came through and he loved the gym. And it has like a hot tub and a sauna and a Spartan, and you have the beach right there. And I said, I want to see how people walk around and how they use the space and the relationship. I had the guy swimming in the ocean to see the relationship to the ocean, and not just like these pretty beautiful shots of the house. Those are great, but hey, what could be different? How could we stand out not only online, but for people to go, oh, this is really cool. This is visual. Oh, this is a house too. Oh, this is how it functions. Neat. So you got to think outside the box. You can't be just the normal everyday realtor. You just can't do it. They're going to want to see value from you, especially when you're earning a commission of $800,000. You know.
Yeah.
Right. I saw some of the videos online, and reading about if you just look at the same pictures of every home, of the kitchen and the bathroom and the bedroom, even in the luxury market, I guess, to the extent they somehow start to all look the same. I'll have to find out if you did the video on, there's a particular property some clients that I work with rented, and it was like that, as you were describing, where it wasn't really the home. It was like, they're down on the beach, gathering up to come in for the day, and they have cupcakes for the kids, and you're almost not even looking at the home because there's something else going on. But then all of a sudden you're like, oh, and they're in the beautiful kitchen as they're having the cupcakes. It's just, a whole different story.
I bet you it was the Smith Group. So that's who I'm with, the Smith Group with Coldwell Banker. Do you remember who did the film?
I know the address, which I'll give you off.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
Good.
I'll ask you
Good.
after the show.
It might be.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
There was one video, I don't know if it was on your website or the Smith Group, where there was one buyer that rolled in a Ferrari California, another buyer that rolled in a what was that classic car? It was a Hudson Hornet.
Oh, wow.
Like a 1953, and then some dude rolled in a yacht.
Yeah.
That video right there, I swear I've probably watched it 4 times just to like vicariously like live through that.
Yeah.
Or try to be like, I was trying to play each character actually as I watched it numerous times. And
that stands out. And that's really important because all of a sudden you're looking at that video going, oh my gosh, I'm actually watching a video about the house. Let me go back and look at that house too. Oh, the architecture there. It's kind of how we try to stand out online. And I know that we talked about kind of the online
Which I want to get to
presence.
that actually because I think that's going to segue into that point. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean the online presence and getting on social media, Facebook and you name it. I mean Facebook. I believe every realtor in America is now on the Facebook bandwagon. This was about 2 years ago when it was just starting to become big, and now I get an ad once a day from a company that's selling to me on Facebook of how to sell on Facebook. I mean, it's just there's so many companies that do that.
By the way, did you do that intentionally and refer to Facebook as the Facebook?
The Facebook. Yeah. What else is it? I mean, it's just the Facebook. I mean, the Instagram. Yeah. I am a Gen X. That's when you sound old, right? Well, the kids on the Twitter.
Makes it sound more exciting.
So going back to actually now we're talking about social media and marketing yourself on social media. Everyone's doing it online. So you had talked about how you can differentiate yourself, or you've done that yourself as a realtor. Are there ways to differentiate yourself? I'm like, have you done it? Have you seen examples of people differentiating themselves on Facebook? And I would equate this a lot to, anybody really involved in some kind of sales business, right? A lot of times, if you're involved in sales, you're your own company, you're your own brand. Are there any good examples or things that you have done yourself so as to distinguish yourself from the competition?
Absolutely. And that's, I think, every day, I have a sales meeting tomorrow morning. I think we're thinking about the same thing of okay, how do we cut through the static? Mm-hmm. How are we going to separate ourselves from the rest of the pack? Because, gosh, you'll see a sponsored ad every third, profile now or whatever during the news feed. So how do you set yourself apart? One thing I know we do all the time now is video. And Facebook is going to be pushing video more. Yep. You got to make sure that you have that video because you have that connection, especially in sales. People want to see that connection. It's more visually, it's more visually appealing. That's why we do those actual the movies for our listings because that's visually stunning. It captures. So
and plus too, it's not just a video; it's a movie. And yeah, I would exactly equate what I saw to be very much like this little short film. So yeah,
I'm sure you've gone through Facebook and then like 5 o'clock in the morning you go, I'm watching this movie. How did I get here? Mm-hmm. Where am I at? Where am I at in this? I mean, it's a cool kiddie video or, like people falling video, but where did I get here? Well, it's because you just click from one to the other and you just find that thing that's visually amazing. If you make it look like an ad, people are just going to swipe right through it. And there's really got to be a balanced approach. And as a realtor, I use a balanced approach. Facebook is not going to be the answer to everything. Instagram is not going to be the answer to everything. Postcards are not going to be the answer to everything. I mean, there's not a silver bullet for any of this. But I think Facebook could be used more as a branding opportunity more than anything.
Sure.
Okay. We have a very the Smith Group Coldwell Banker. We use a system called Curator, which is we got the technology. It's a very expensive technology, but it uses Facebook to generate leads. But then from those leads, we have to then call or try to connect with them in order to get down to a solid viable lead. So for us, I use a balanced approach. So I do some social media. Nothing, in my opinion, beats shaking someone's hand and talking to them personally. I think that's how I've gotten most of my sales from open houses or knocking on doors. And I know that knocking on doors. Have you ever heard of door knocking?
People still do that?
I do it because no one does it.
Now, is this like to get buyers, or because you have a house that your clients are asking about, and so you go to the house and say, are you looking to sell because I have someone who wants to buy?
All of the above.
Okay.
So you got to figure out what the approach is going to be. And the reason that I do it is because no one's doing it. And especially in today's day and age, everyone thinks that they're just going to go on Facebook and it's going to be this automated thing and you're just going to generate so many leads. No, you're not.
I can't imagine how many luxury buyers you happen to come across on Facebook.
But I think if anything too, I think it's very, I mean, it's encourageable and admirable that someone like yourself, with all of your experience and all of your knowledge, you're still willing to put, get your fingernails dirty and go knock on doors to whatever, secure what is rightfully yours, your commissions kind of thing. I mean, that's definitely different.
Do you know why I do it? Is because the guys that do it, the guys that I've seen get into geo-farming works in real estate, okay? Picking a farm, picking a desired neighborhood, and making sure you know everyone in that neighborhood. And when I started started seeing how the luxury market works, especially starting to get into the luxury market, I'm like, gosh, this guy is killing it. So Tim Smith, we sold $497 million just last year in homes. That's just with 20 people.
Is that in California and nationwide?
That's just in California. Jesus. So that's number one in Coldwell Banker. I think we're going to be in the top 10 in the world now, because we know everyone. And I have one realtor. I walked into his neighborhood, and this is when I knew that the relationship is king when it comes to sales. He goes, "Yep, okay, and the Hansons are over here, and the McHughes are over here, and they sold their house over here. Oh, and they have a daughter that goes." He knew everything about everyone. I went, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy!
Wow.
Like, how do you know that?"
Wow.
And he gets all of the listings.
Wait,
there.
Is he also a member of that? No, he's not.
No, doesn't live there.
Yeah, that is impressive.
Doesn't live there. He just knows the people because he knocks on the doors. He introduces himself. How I get to know people is that I always throw an open house and I invite the whole neighborhood. Or if I have an open house, I walk over to the next door and I say, knock, knock, knock. Hello. Hey, welcome. My name is Matt. Nice to get to know you. And I have an open house this weekend. I would love for you to come by. I got some sandwiches. And I just start rapping with them. Just start talking with them.
I want to know what my neighbor's house looks like, and I want some free food. Why not?
Exactly.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
We call it, on HGTV, we call it house porn.
I'm familiar with food porn, so
right?
Very similar.
You just want to see inside other people's house. It's kind of like the beginning.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's the beginning.
Yeah, but that's you just want to see in other people's houses. Now that sparks up an opportunity. We start to get to know each other, and get to know your family. And you get to know Matt. You get to know Matt. So I'm not just a guy on Facebook anymore, which you'll see on Facebook because I'm going to target you. And you're going to say, oh yeah, that's Matt. I'll constantly be reminded. You're going to see me on a note card. It's not just going to be, hey, there's the guy on the note card that they spending tons of money. Oh yeah, there's Matt. You might even keep my note card now. So it's that relationship. You have to gain that personal relationship in order for you to really to become top of your game.
I gotta tell you, I mean, this is really actually painting a picture of you, Matt, it really is telling a story from start to finish. And again, as much as that, I know your mom, I know your brother, I've seen you, but I never knew exactly, the substance of you. This is, I mean, I'm super just engaged right now in this full story you're telling me, because anywhere from the legwork you were doing, moving to Colorado, having to pay for your expenses, and what this has taught you till this day in not just differentiating yourself, but then, I think one of the things you had said earlier was just not giving a F. Right, it's okay to cuss, but I'm trying to be PC here. But,
that's good.
But just not caring, right? So then, that's where all of a sudden you're banging down doors, and you're having a conversation. I mean, I've had realtors come to my door in which I haven't been as pleasant, and again, it's just whatever. Like, I'm sure you run into that. Some people are pleasant, some aren't.
Oh yeah.
But again, if you don't care and you're just going through and you're just trying to vibe with them, then eventually, you get to the point where you do know the McEwens and the McEwens. Actually, I was watching Entourage, some clips earlier, and that's where
the McEwens.
The McEwens.
I actually saw Mark Wahlberg's Entourage.
Yeah,
the actual guys that represent the Entourage. They came through the
mugs,
house,
aren't they?
It was just. I went, oh, you're Turtle. I know exactly who you are. You're Turtle. Oh, you're E. Yeah, I know exactly who you are. It's just the same guys. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. When you're talking about getting to know people in different neighborhoods, do people get territorial then? Like, what happens if you go into a neighborhood because you think you're going to get to know it and get a new area, but someone else has already been through to get to know the neighborhood?
Too bad.
Okay.
And unless they're in my group. So, Coldwell Banker, the reason, I got with the Tim Smith group is because no one was in Dana Point. So I do Dana Point, a little bit of Aliso Viejo, and some of San Clemente. But Dana Point is kind of that's the place where I go. And that's where my listing is on the Strand. So no one else is there. And so you have the opportunity to dominate. And you got to be doing what other people don't do. And I tell you, there's one girl that she's in Dana Point that she does a pretty good job. No one has really the stronghold yet. I
like this is the competitive spirit coming out.
Oh yeah,
I like it. Okay,
it's competitive,
okay, right.
But what she does is that she's kind of marketed with that connection. She waves at everyone. She keeps her signs up. She walks over to neighbors' houses. You get to know them on a person-to-person basis. For me, that's really important, is to set that kind of friendship family thing. And to get to your point of knocking on doors. Yeah, it's a numbers game. It's just a number. You can't let it affect you. Don't let it get you down. Don't let if someone just goes, get out of here. No one really does that. But if someone just may give you the cold shoulder, don't let it get you down. But there's going to be that person that goes, oh, hey, nice to meet you. I had one guy talk my ear off for about 30 minutes. I think he was an empty nester, and I think he, I don't know if his wife was there, but this guy just talked to me forever. I was like, sir, I got to go. Like, this is crazy.
He was glad you came knocking on his door.
He loved it. I'll probably get a sale out of that guy for sure, But really what my intention is not to sell their house. My intention is not to sell their house or to get money from them. My intention is to get to know them. I really want to get to know them. I want to know who they are. And when you enter, I guess, a sales pitch like that, when you enter a sales pitch of, I want to listen to you, I want to get to know you, and I want to try to solve your problem. So for me, when I take that approach, it's easier for me to get a good response from people because people smell it. They go, this guy's out for money. He wants a sale. He wants this. No, I did because I'm a landscaper. I did a show called Yard Crashers for 17 seasons. So I ran this opportunity in my farm to get a free garden makeover. We had people enter. And I went over and I saw all their houses and I knocked on the door. I mean, talking about different advertising.
Yeah.
And what I can do different is that I have a skill set, and that's as a designer, and I've worked in backyards. My wife, she does container gardening. So we actually met on Yard Crashers.
Nice.
She was hired by the contractor to do the pots, and she had no idea who I was or could care less, and I fell in love with her. I moved her from Kansas City. But we went to this backyard. There was I forget how many people entered. I mean, it was probably like 30 people entered this contest.
Okay.
So I went to each person's house.
That's phenomenal.
I got to talk with them. And then I got to pick one. And now I'm doing this yard, and I'm getting to be with them for this whole process. And I'm going to take some pictures, and it says, people know me now. They're like, oh yeah, Matt. No problem. So when with real estate, the most important thing is that no one needs a realtor all the time, but when they do, you need to be on the top of their mind.
Yeah.
So now they're going to go, oh yeah, Matt. Yeah, of course. You're going to be the guy. You're going to be the go-to guy. So
now, this is kind of all wet-nosed puppy dogs and rainbows. It's a lot of hard work, right? But there's certainly an element of the luxury side that, again, it's very, I don't want to say that you're painting it very rosy, but certainly I'm certain there's times where things fall apart. It doesn't go as planned.
No. Perfect all the way through. I mean,
Have you
kidding me?
seen $1 million listing?
Yeah, I almost pulled my hair out in the last 2 transactions I closed.
Well, so I guess I'm curious then too, is that how do you cope with some of the deals with the people when it does start to go sour with them? Because that is also another point where you're either trying to save a deal, or if you can't save the deal, then you still want to have that relationship. So how does someone in your field, what are some of the things you have done to respond to those types of scenarios?
For me, I like perfection. I do. I'm a perfectionist, and I hate it because I want everything to be perfect, and it just doesn't happen that way. I mean, the last 2 transactions that I had, there's always something that comes up, and one of the things that I see that I look at with other salespeople, or I look at other realtors, and I see when they reach problems in a deal. Now, whether that's, and I don't know how you can relate it to cars or whatever, sales,
sure.
You're in, whatever it is. Yeah. There's something that is going to go wrong, right? And again, I like to be on a personal level with people. I want to make sure that we're friends. I want you to be like family, right? So I really care. So what happens is that something starts to go wrong, right? And then we go, oh gosh, I don't know if I want to call them. Something happened with escrow and he's getting upset, and I saw this email so he's probably like saying, oh, why did Matt pick this escrow company? I can't believe it. And you just work up all these things in your head, and then you're frightened to communicate with him. And you go, oh gosh, this is not going well. And then what happens is that you never really follow up. You never communicate. You gotta be human, and you gotta call, and you gotta say, I'm so sorry. This messed up, and this is why it messed up. And if I messed it up, and if that was my mistake, I'm going to admit it. And I'm going to say, hey, how can I make this good for you? And I've seen that in, there was a case in point. Let's say I had a friend that did home security. Okay. He was a very dear friend of mine. He sold me this home security company, or this home security kit that was very, very expensive. He sold it to me, and from the beginning, I mean, it just sucked. The installation, they didn't show up on time. I mean, it was like horrible. The first 2 days. Might have had the
same experience.
Yeah, and it's a friend of mine. And I went, oh, this is terrible. They showed up at like 10 o'clock. I'm like, what are you going to do? It's late. Come back the next day. They didn't show up the next day. We had to reschedule. And then they started coming, and they're putting holes everywhere. The system didn't quite work. I mean, it was just going awful. And he wasn't really communicating with me that much. And then they brought this other guy in. He must have been the closer, the guy that knew the whole system, Came in and then started, he's like, yeah, he was this massive guy. He was in the attic. He's like, oh yeah, you gotta connect one system to the other. We'll make it learned. We'll do this learned system. I don't know what he's talking about. You have the sensors learned each other, and this guy just
you'll have incredible. You'll have the learn system.
Yeah. I was like, man, whatever you got to do. Yeah. All right, just make it learn. Just make it work. So after 3 days, it works flawlessly. I mean, the thing works perfect. And I love the system. My friend hasn't called me. And I want to, if he were to call me, I would say, dude, the system's amazing. Thank you so much.
Right.
But he never called.
So this kind of goes back to this whole idea of that, if I guess, part of that making that call when things go awry is swallowing your pride. And then, yes, being human about it. And yes, if especially your friend would have called, yeah, it's like, look, bygones are bygones. At the end of the day, yes, there was this portion of this process, delivery, whatever the installation that went awry. But look, at the end of the day, it works. It's great. I'm happy. Dude, do you want to come over and have a beer?
Oh, I sell real estate. I'm going to sell your alarms to everyone. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't that? So that referral too. I'm not going to refer him out
That's
just
excellent.
based upon the fact that he hasn't called me. So you need to just swallow your pride sometimes, and you need to say, I'm sorry this happened. I'm going to work to make this better, and this is how we're going to move forward. And every single one of my clients that I do that with, on the last one, it was an apartment complex, and the rents were wrong, and it was prorated incorrectly, and I mean there was just a lot of things that just didn't happen. Where I explained it, and at the end, and I went, Dean, did I satisfy your needs? Did I answer your question? Is there anything I can do moving forward? And he goes, no, Matt, you did a great job. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I went, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Then after that can come the referrals and all that other good stuff.
Referral. Yeah. You know, it's and he's gonna refer me because, you know, it wasn't the smoothest transaction that we've ever been through, but we got it done, and I clearly communicated through the whole thing.
And you finished strong on a high note, which I think is important too. Like I said, ultimately you want to get the job done right, and taking ownership is a big piece. And if you can correct it, then usually it ends up okay.
Yeah, you got to do it. I mean, he got money in his pocket, you know, and everybody was happy. So, you know, it was good for him.
Well, look, Matt, this is I don't want to end this here, but how much more time do you have? Do you have a few more minutes here?
What time is it?
It's
that time. Oh yeah, we can. You know, I can do another question or so. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, we can do this. We'll post this the next segment onto YouTube. But I do want to say thank you for coming on and just sharing. You know, again, your knowledge, your history, your experience, because I do think that, I mean, I certainly learned a lot of things, actually, not just even about you, but just the techniques that you've explained. Where can people find you?
So my website, mattblashaw.com.
It's Blashaw.
Yeah, nice. No one spells it right. No one even says it right. I think you're actually saying it right.
Come on, I have history. I have history.
My mom did teach you, I believe, right?
That's right. So mattblashaw.com.
Mattblashaw.com. You can see, you know, we're at Coldwell Banker, Tim Smith Group. .com. But on mattblashaw.com, you can see what I'm doing on television. You could see.
Do you have any? Are you hosting anything right now, or something coming up?
I am. So I'm hosting a DIY special called The Ultimate Retreat, which it was a show that we. I can't tell you where it's at right now.
You were offering $1 on Facebook or something if you could guess the location.
Yeah, you saw that, right? Where do you think it is?
Did anybody get, or has it?
No one's gotten close yet. No.
Is it in the U.S.?
It is in the U.S. Yeah, it's a cool concept. So basically, we find a vacation home that needs renovation. We find it in a beautiful vacation spot. I go there, design and rebuild the entire rental, and then, or not rental, but the vacation home, and then we give it away at the end. So it's like a giveaway show.
And you give it away too.
Yeah.
How does somebody get on that list?
Well, it's not. You're not going to get any more points with me. So just go online like everyone else. Dennis. Yep. Fill out the form. Yeah. Do it once a day. But and I just shot a Travel Channel special, a Travel Channel pilot actually, called American Skill Master, which is going to be probably premiering in about a month and a half. So we'll see if that goes.
I mean, talk about the competitive edge as a real estate agent. I mean, good Lord.
Skill master, stud finder.
Jesus. Somebody's masters and skills, I guess.
Lord. Well,
we'll see.
So you can find them at mattblashaw.com. That would be the main site, and I could take it Instagram, Twitter, all that other good stuff. You'll be able to find you there. Matt, thanks for coming on, man. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, man.
As always, please check us out on Facebook and Twitter, Wisco Weekly Pod. Rate, review, and subscribe. Kelly, any last thoughts for you?
No, this was a fun episode.
This was a fun episode. Yeah, this was a fun episode. Thank you. We'll be back next week. And as always, cheers to the customer experience.